to go to court a few times. And the last time, we made an arrangement for travel, like if he's going out of town for more than 24 hours, for overnight or longer, he has to give me 24 hours notice of where he's going, destination, emergency contacts and stuff. Well, one Thursday was with me and he had asked about going back to his dad's the next morning because he didn't have school. And he mentioned because they were going to Yuma. My dad doesn't want you to know because he says you'll keep me later. Keep in mind, we had just signed this agreement. One of the judges that had talked with us before had let me know talking parents was going to be my best friend. So basically that's a way to document everything. And not because I'm trying to start shit. I did write him because I was like, I am aware. And I had asked him multiple times to please keep our son out of these conversations because all summer he was telling to send me messages or withhold information from me or whatever. It's been ongoing. It's an ongoing issue anyway, but there's a whole lot of backstory. What ended us up in court was because going to a school that he'd been going to since pre-K, put him in there. It was a Catholic school and he knew I'm not religious. That was not my preference, but we had separated at the time and I was living up in North County with my sister. So, I agreed to let him go there for pre-K. And then once he was there, by the time I moved down, he was already established. He had friends and I didn't see any need to disrupt that. I didn't really care for the religion part, but he seemed to be happy and that was fine with me. In April, he started to tell me that he was going to tour this other school. And I was like, he just basically said, I haven't made any decisions, but blah, blah, blah. And basically, the way he came at me, which what I thought made him sound like a disgusting human being, was he was they're mainstreaming autistic kids. He called this kid out by name that was in class, which is known since pre-K. And he's in mediocre teachers and blah, 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 because he had a real problem with third grade teacher and the new principal. I guess he just did not like the way that they ran their business. So, he had told me, he said, hey, I'm going to tour the school. It's not a decision. I'm just looking at options right now. And then I did, as soon as he had told me that, I contacted that school because the principal there is the old kindergarten teacher. And I just let her know, I was I'm aware that he's made this tour and he wants to schedule a shadow dates there. But he can't enroll him in Catholic school, or he can't transfer his schools without mutual consent. And so she said she was aware, blah, blah, blah. Did not know that I talked to her about that. But I did. I called her first thing as soon as he started talking about it because I just knew because of the way he is, he thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So, I was just please don't proceed with transferring him unless there's mutual consent. Basically, he had scheduled for this tour. Seemed to like it okay. I mean, he was he liked his school too. He wasn't really he was whatever about it. But some of his old teachers were there, so he did know people. Is really sticking to the specific date in January that this all happened, but problems started before that. They were just exacerbated by this incident in January. So maybe for a year or so before this January incident, I had to stop having him come inside of my house. He would just walk in my house and it made my daughter and my sister feel awkward when it made him feel uncomfortable. And so I started waiting outside. The way that our house is, there's a main house in the front and then we have a casita that's right directly in back of them. So you take the little long driveway and then you hang a left at our driveway, and that's basically parking in front of our door. The way that we have things arranged, or how it was arranged for a long time, was we switch off every other week. We have 1 week on, 1 week off. Exchanges happen on Friday. So back when we were separating, maybe I was in kindergarten or first grade or something like that, talking about wanting to put him into martial arts, thinking he was talking about on his weeks, because why would he schedule it for time on my weeks? He didn't ask me anything about what my schedule was or whatever. So anyway, I come to find out it's every week, 3 days a week. Tuesdays and Wednesdays were 6:30 to 7:30, and Thursdays 5:30 to 6:30. Keep in mind, this is a little small kid, right? He started when he was young, and he goes to school. He starts at 8, and by the time he gets out of karate and stuff, because the classes are late, it was almost bedtime. And I had some concerns early on because not even was he just doing that, but signing him up for all these extracurriculars after school, which were at the school. I just felt like at first when it was offered through Zoom, it was easier to do with, like, he could do the Zooms. I didn't have to go anywhere. He, didn't care. And I, at a certain point, just stopped. I was like, whatever I say, he's going to have an opinion about it. And it's not going to be like in agreement with me. Whatever I say, he just wants to think he knows better. So I just stopped basically kind of communicating with him in any kind of sense, unless it was like something that directly, like an immediate response or something like that. I kind of really had to stop, like the unnecessary chatter that we used to have. Like I was just learning, it just wasn't doing any good. Our conversations never progressed anywhere. So we had been doing this arrangement up until January this year. I know last year, forgot his blanket, he calls him Mimi. And I spelled it wrong or something. And he's like, oh, all along I thought it was Mimi with an I or whatever. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, can you put it out or whatever? And then he got mad. He's like, I don't, like, your attitude isn't playing well over here. And like, you should remember who you're dealing with and whatever. And I was like, I take that as threatening language because I know how the fuck this guy is. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. But even then I kind of ignored it. We still had our drop-offs, whatever. And it was fine. It's been hard since like leaving to find a job that's flexible with like the needs of my kids. I did DoorDash for a while. I'm now dog walking, but part-time work. But I feel like it has to be part-time because I have to be available to pick up the kids after school. So January, he wrote this in his declaration like 3 fucking times. And the judge still fucking didn't even read it. Well, that's kind of the problem though, is this particular judge we got did not read anything, and if he had, he might have gotten a lot more context. The mediator did, and so did the Shriver settlement conference lady. She was a judge too, but it was like a cross between an actual hearing and mediation. She couldn't make any orders unless we mutually agreed on them. Like I said about our long driveway, it drives up, and our driveway is basically right to our front porch. So one night he's driving down the driveway, and Matt is in the car and in there too, because of course they started going to karate together. He signed him up for karate. He put in his declaration, he was like, she was worried he wasn't going to have a good role model. And I was like, let me fucking guess. You decided to swoop right in there, right? In retrospect, I'm like, yeah, you would prey on like women that are like in unfortunate positions or like in a way where you feel like you can provide for them because that's how you get them. That's how you hook them, right? She's like waving and smiling. And I'm just kind of like, I know I had like a resting bitch face because I was pissed off that he like brought her to my house. Yeah, I know her. We are not friends. And like, second of all, like, it's just rude to bring somebody to your house if you didn't give them a heads up or like ask if that's okay. He also had the option, keep in mind, to park on the street and walk down the driveway without bringing in anyone to like my house. Who said I wanted her to know where I live? What caused the whole problem? Like he's trying to paint the narrative that I'm a jealous ex-girlfriend who is losing my mind because I saw him with some other lady in the car and like whatever. But that really wasn't it, because I don't want anything to do with this household. I really don't. I'm trying to put as much distance as possible, actually. But they leave eventually. And like, I sent him a text. I wasn't rude about it. I just said, I think that you should ask or like give a heads up if you're intending to bring someone over literally to my front door. And, he starts going off about, it's never just a simple like, okay, sure thing or whatever. He's like, you should look for better opportunities to be offended other than me bringing son's best friend's mom. I was just like, I didn't even engage because I was like, I said what I needed to say. I don't need to like continue this conversation. And he's still going, right? he again had said to remember who I was dealing with. And I was like, okay, this is the second time he said it to me. Being able to secure a lawyer who is knowledgeable in the subjects of narcissistic abuse and coercive control would make all the difference. I was able to, get a free lawyer, and I was thankful for the services that they provided. However, I feel like it was very minimal. I don't feel like I was being taken seriously or understood. And I feel like it did affect the way the outcome of the court hearings went. I feel frustrated in the fact that because my co-parent has the financial means to get a better attorney, that things are going his way more often than not. And I don't feel that that's fair. And it certainly doesn't make me feel like there's any justice or accountability for my co-parent, who has violated several aspects of our order already. He just keeps getting away with it with no repercussions. And meanwhile, I'm losing more time with my son. I've financially lost money because I was taken to court. And, I feel like there was withholding of assets, but I don't have any way to prove it. I need help. I need help.